Brigandine is a time-based strategy and tactical hybrid game. It was developed and published by Hardy Robin in 1998 for the PlayStation. An expanded version, Brigandine Grand Edition, was released in 2000, and that is the version I'll be playing in this video. Not much is known about Hardy Robin, as they are a development studio primarily known for this particular game. Then, in recent years, a sequel and spiritual successor titled Brigandine: The Legend of Runasia was released in 2020. It was developed by Matrix Software, who you might know for developing the hidden gem Alandra, and for assisting on several Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest titles, and published by HappyNet. HappyNet is a company mostly known for anime and films, with Brigandine: The Legend of Runasia and the Japanese localization of One Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game being the only two major games released under their brand. Now, my personal reason for wanting to play this game is that I had never really tried strategy games before. I wanted to give this one a shot as a potential beginner-friendly title, since it also incorporates tactical elements as a hybrid. Up until now, I have played tactical RPGs like most of the Fire Emblem series and some of the Summon Night games, so I'm not a complete stranger to the genre. Nonetheless, I wanted to challenge myself to try a new genre, just like how I did with dungeon crawlers and Mega 10 games. So here I am, trying out Brigandine. It took me 34 hours to finish a single run, and I enjoyed this game. But that's the intro, and this is Brigandine Grand Edition. Starting off the game, we are shown a decent quality opening animation. Just from watching it, I had already decided to choose this yellow hair character as my default pick among the 6 characters the game lets you choose from, because he looks like main protagonist the most out of everyone. Now, the cover shows this guy, indicating he might be the main protagonist, but he has a 3-star difficulty rating. I thought to myself, since I am a beginner, I should probably play like one, so I went for the yellow hair character Lance. The other options include the religious kind and caring woman, a crazy monarch that has a character trait the same as Saraki from the Bleach, and has an assistant that reminds me of the one Mayuri's assistant from Bleach also. Then we have the bad guy Zemeckis and the P11 mage Kai. Kai has 1-star difficulty, but he doesn't look like a killing material to me, so I settled on Lance in the end. Lance is from Elmagia Nation. He will start with 5 bases, 12 knights, a total number of 906, and 31 starting monsters. I didn't know what any of these meant when I first started playing, but I am glad I figured it out along the way. Now, one thing you need to know about this video is that I didn't really care much about the story, if not at all. Instead, I was 100% invested in the gameplay, because it has a good gameplay loop and I felt it respected my time. For the hours I put in, 34 felt like just the right amount to finish a game like this. Seeing there are 5 more main characters to try, it's obvious this game has great replayability, but I've only played through with one character, and this video is just about that experience and insight. I aim to explain the game mechanics, some strategies that work for me, and my overall thoughts on it. I'm here as someone who found the game fun enough to finish and thought it was worth making a video about, so thank you everyone who are curious enough to click on the video. With that said, the story from Lance's perspective is basically this. His nation was conquered by Zemeckis, who betrayed them and killed his father. His most trusted knight helped him escape while being aided once more by an unnamed, insanely strong female wandering knight. After that, both of them thanked her and fled to the old king, a friend of Lance's father. The old king quickly agreed to lend not only his knights, but his entire kingdom to Lance. This of course angered his own son, who was apparently unsuitable to become king due to his aggressive nature. Lance, though childish and optimistic, was seen by the old king as more suitable for the throne. Also, if you choose Lance, the wise king Kai is your ally, making your gameplay even easier. That's the story segment for now, and as soon as this exposition is done, you are thrown straight into the game without further explanation. I was super confused about what to do at this point and spent a few days trying to figure it out with no success. I even thought about stopping the game if I am being totally honest, but it turns out there's a tutorial on the main menu and I missed it for some reason. And surely enough, after trying out the tutorial, I kind of grasped what this game is about, at least well enough to start playing for a few hours. So with that, let's start the gameplay explaining part of this video. Brigandine's gameplay is divided into 2 main phases. the organize phase, and the attack phase. On the map, opening the main menu brings up your options. From here, you can execute your orders to end your turn and proceed, or you can open the unit tab. The unit tab is incredibly useful. It lets you view not only your entire army, but also your enemies. It is filled with information on all your characters and monsters, their stats, equipment, and location of where they are. Or if you just want a quick look, you can open the troop tab to see your own army only. Next is the influence tab, where you can view all the bases and nations you have conquered. I started using this tab from the mid-game onwards when I began to understand the true fun of this kind of strategy game. By fun, I mean planning the most efficient way to conquer a base, figuring out how to corner enemies that are running away, or quickly sending troops to defend a base that's about to be sneak attacked. I love looking at which routes connect to which bases and strategizing around those choke points. These were the kind of fun I had as a kid, drawing on papers and imagining entire scenarios and stories. It generally felt like rediscovering a long lost joy. On that note, having played Fire Emblem games, which are square grip based, I didn't realize a hex grip game like Brigandine would be a totally different experience. There is a mechanic called ZOC, which stands for Zone of Control. I once noticed this term ZOC in Summon Night, but never fully understood it. Even now, after beating Brigandine, I don't fully grasp it, but I at least have a much better idea of how the mechanic actually works. In fact, if playing all those Fire Emblem games taught me anything, it's the anxiety-provoking permadeath mechanic and durability mechanic. Permadeath also exists here in this game, but this time with my beloved monsters, excluding the characters. But more importantly, durability problem is not present here, so that's a plus for me. There are also many options to customize your experience in the option tab, like movement animation speed, and you can turn other animations on or off. One thing I've started to really appreciate in turn-based games lately is that the faster pace they are, the better the pacing feels. Like looking at cool animation and even a thing for me now. Definitely, playing Megaton games wire me into thinking this way. And also, just by feeling the respect the game gave me as a player, I already automatically want to play and invest more into the game. I think I'm not the only person who feels this way in games, because I have recently played a game called Oreshika. It was made by Masuda Shoji, who is well known for heavily involved in Linda Cube. And he even stated that he intentionally reduced animation times to speed up the game's pace, also that he could give better player experience. So it's clearly a conscious developer choice, and it's one I really like a lot. Combined with fast animations and counter attacks in battles, the pacing is just perfect. Opening the menu on your base brings up another set of options. During the organized phase, you can compose your team here. You can bring a maximum of 3 characters into the battle, and each character can hold up to 6 monsters. However, each monster has a different mana cost to maintain, so you must pay attention to your character's total mana pool. Generally, the more mana your character has, more monsters you can bring to the battle, and the better your chance of winning gets. The numbers are everything in this game, so swapping monsters in and out to manage your mana pool is something you will do very often. By the way, I'm a bit particular about terms I use in my videos, so let's solidify them now. There is the term MP, which I will call magic points, which are depleted once you use magic attack, and not to be confused there with mana, which shows how many monsters you can hold in a team. Then we have the core stats: strength, intelligence, agility, and movement. I believe strength and intelligence provide both offensive and defensive capabilities, because from my playthrough, it seemed like a character with higher intelligence stat took less damage from magic attacks than one with low stat. You see those 3 dots under the level, right? Those represent elemental attributes: red, blue, green, black, and white. Red beats blue, blue beats green, and green beats red. Black and white beats each other. So when you combine with high monster counts with this attribute advantage, you are basically unbeatable in this game. But of course, those advantages only matters after your own tactical prowess. So you need to have those big brains before you can utilize the game system to the fullest potential. Next is class change. When a monster reaches level 10, it can change its class. Some, like dragons, can change class twice, while others, like centaurs, can only change once. Not only monsters, but your characters can also change class when they hit level 20 and again at level 30, with the max level cap being 30. However, for some classes like the archer, you need to hit certain stat threshold, not just reaching the requirement level. Unlike Fire Emblem games, where you reset your level whenever you change class, in Brigandine, the level remains the same, so in general sense, you can say that the higher level the character is, the stronger. Each class comes with different passive, and the percentage based effect from those passive can stack. Every class that has gained 5 levels, which are indicated by these stars, are considered they have achieved mastery for that particular class. Characters who have mastered a class can then choose to change to another class and inherit passive from their previous one. This allows you to create characters with a bunch of passive by stacking those percentages to have better success rate, making them extremely powerful. There is a hidden class called Shadow Master, a promoted class from Shadow, which has a lot of useful passive like moving twice per turn, relocating after an attack, have a ranged attack, and even use some magic. But this Shadow class can only be unlocked after you defeat 7 kids in the first half of the game. I did get a character with Shadow class named Shiraha, who is already quite a high level character right from the get-go, so I didn't even bother to promote him. Because I'm already halfway through the game and I'm not going to raise a new character now when I already have Lance and Duramis on the main team. Getting back to the topic though, what I'm trying to say is that the lower the character level is when you first recruit them, the more magic attack and passive they can inherit by promoting and demoting time and time again, as leveling is faster when they are stay low level. But monarchs are the main exception to the standard class change rule. For example, Lance will only class change from prince to king once you defeat 7 kids. Next, we have equipment. Equipment can be obtained by sending your characters on a quest or by defeating enemy characters or killing their monster in battle. It's a passive system and you don't need to do anything. You just send them away and they will return back after a few seasons with items, equipment, and sometimes even get stat boosts, experience, or recruit new characters to your side. I appreciate that every single characters are fully voiced in this game as it helps immerse me in the world. But for me, I just better match through most of the dialogues except the main story, so that doesn't really apply to me for this particular game. Equipment generally boosts your stats, but some pieces come with additional passive or attribute additions. The way attribute works is similar to Pokemon games. By that I mean, if a Pokemon uses a move that matches its type, it deals more damage. Of course, that is assuming the viewer has played at least one Pokemon game by now. But for those who haven't, here's the best example I can think of. If your monster class has 3 attributes and use magic attack that has also 3 attributes, it does 6 white damage, which will absolutely obliterate the enemy with just 1 black attribute. This same principle also applies to other color attributes as well. Next, we can name our monsters whatever we want. At first, I thought about naming each one to form parasocial relationship with them, but I quickly gave up because my monster tend to die pretty often in this game and I feel sad with every loss. Then lastly, we have the delete option. The only use I have for this was to remove monsters I didn't find useful, as they are waste of space and mana. This is because even monsters in your stock still cost mana to maintain. So to recap Brigandine's gameplay loop, each turn has an organized phase and attack phase. After completing that cycle, it counts as one season. Then you keep repeating this loop until you conquer the entire continent and proceed to the final boss fight. The game has 3 difficulties to choose from: easy, normal, and hard. Easy mode has no time limit for you to complete the game, while normal and hard impose 6-year limit on you. The only key difference is that in easy mode, the enemy AI is more offensive and will always run at you, while in other 2 modes, the enemy play more defensively and you will have to take the offense. And the tutorial told me to try easy mode first, so I complied to the recommendation with no hesitation at all. For the record, I beat the game around 1 in-game year, so it's not an impossible task to begin with. Each season, your total mana is calculated. The mana generated by your control bases is added, and then the maintenance cost for all your monsters is subtracted, and what remains is what you get. You need this mana to summon monsters, to fill up your monster roster, and it's most critical in the early to mid-game. The more bases you control, the more mana you obtain each season. However, I found it really annoying to constantly manage everything, so I decided to just maintain 3 or 4 separate groups and delete all the excess monsters and send every other character that are not on the main team on quest. This let me spread my attacks over the map and control the pacing of the game for myself. Outside of that menu, you have the summoning option. This is where you can summon new monsters in exchange for mana. Every base has different set of monsters available to summon, giving you incentive to expand your territory if you want gold monsters like unicorn, angels, and demons. But no matter where you summon or what you summon, all of them are base monsters who all start at level 1. This makes it a huge waste to let a high level monster die in battle, because if they die, that's it. They are gone for good. There is no reviving, no nothing. Unlike your characters who only get one season penalty to rest at the main base, while the penalty for losing a monster is entire progress, which is a really punishing aspect of Brigandine. You can also move your troop across the map. Moving them takes one full season, no matter how near or far destination is. This is crucial to remember when you have to plan to defend a base or prepare for an attack. Also, during the attack phase, you can only attack your adjacent enemy base and can only retreat back to your adjacent base as well. In the rare case that you are completely surrounded by enemies with no adjacent friendly base, you will be forced to retreat all the way back to your main base. If you have to force retreat, the chance of you abandoning some of your monster will skyrocket. That's every menu option I have to explain in the organized phase, so off we go to the next phase. This is the part I want to spend the majority of my time to talk about in this video, the attack phase. In this phase, if you open the menu on a base, you can choose which character to send into battle with an adjacent enemy base, or you can choose to have them stand by. I'm all for being offensive, so I always choose to attack. A quick side note, whenever you move a character from one base to another, they are considered on the road during this phase. That means you are not yet present at their old base nor at their new destination, and so they cannot be used for battle that season. So plan in advance before you want to attack the enemy. After you decide to execute your attack plan, you are brought into the meat of the game, the battles. You can send between 1 to 2 characters into battle. If you are confident, you can send just one of your stronger characters, but I'm not, so I always bring 3 characters into battle because you get a phase bonus EXP of 200 whenever you win the battle. 200 is by no means a lot because you need to hit 4-digit EXP threshold on average. At the start of each battle, you will hear a short dialogue exchange between two sides. For me, most of the time, it's a repeated exchange with Lance and his knight, but sometimes special character events will trigger and can even recruit new characters on spot, like these 2 brothers and sister characters who seem to have a really questionable relationship. I hated both of them, so even after they reunited in my kingdom after the battle, I choose to send the brother away on quest every single season. Though I kept Regal on my team since she started at level 1, making her a great character to train for the late game. But spoilers, I did not, because archers are underwhelming in Brigandine as well, especially when I have my level 20 plus high centaurs with me. Brigandine is a turn-based strategy / tactical game, and the turn order works like this. All units on the battlefield take their turn starting from the highest level to the lowest. You can also check the battle map here, and this is one of the neat part of Brigandine. The battlefield you are playing on is pulled straight from the location you are looking on the overall map. I love detail like this. They make it worthwhile to take the game seriously. This way, you can plan in advance from looking at the terrains and decide which units to bring into battle. With terrains comes terrain advantage mechanic. Forests, plains, mountains, water surface, and castles can raise or lower evasion and accuracy. There are unit types like horse, high flying, low flying, and sea monster who takes advantage of such terrains. These terrains also affect how far they can move, but flying units are not affected by any terrains and have free roam capability in battles, which is really useful. With ground and flying types clearly separated, we get a measurement system for accuracy. Measurements are double circles, single circle, and triangle for both ground and sky units respectively. A double circle means 100% accuracy, a circle means medium accuracy, and a triangle means low accuracy. For me, if the accuracy is 100%, I might as well say it just means it has 50-50% chance, or it might even mean 99 to 1% chance of hitting, which is really unreliable at best. So I don't trust any percentage-based number other than 100%. Most ground unit types have poor accuracy against flying types, so you could generally say flying types are better. So to offset and balance this disadvantage, the game introduced pincering mechanic. This is a term I made up for the video. It's not official. I gave that name because it looks just like a pincer movement. Brigandine is a hex grid based game, and if you put 2 units on the opposite side of an enemy, no matter if they are ground or flying type, it guarantees that every one of your attack will hit no matter what, as long as the targeted unit is pincer, though with the sole exception for golem, where your accuracy might drop to around 90% even if it were to attack the pincer unit. But otherwise, I rely on it heavily throughout my playthrough, at least more than those attacks with accuracy lower than 100%. For me at first, I thought I had to surround an enemy in all 6 hexes, but no, you just need 2 units to pincer and you are good to go. This is a really good mechanic to abuse. When moving units, you will see colored and uncolored area. Each of your character has their own colored command zone. If your monster assigned to them are within that zone, they perform at their best. Otherwise, their performance is reduced significantly. This incentivizes you to keep monsters within their respective characters' range and not spread them across the map however you want. Attacking types can be divided into single target, AoE, and indirect attacks. These hex-based grids confused me at the start, and I had to adapt to seeing how ranged attacks actually works, which means I had to try hard to detox myself from Fire Emblem habits. I keep bringing up the hex grid because I'm genuinely amazed by how the entire gameplay changed just from adding more angles to a geometry. Game design choices like these are interesting for me to explore. Regarding accuracy, normal attacks are also unreliable because you guessed it, accuracy for most normal attacks are below 100%. So I always try to combine attacks with pincer mechanic to land my hits successfully and reliably. But magic and special attacks are completely different story because all of those attacks are guaranteed to hit no matter what, but in exchange for causing MP and inability to move after their usage and vice versa. This is also another reason I do stick everybody close together in tight formation, moving in one big chunk at all times. Unlike the sparse positioning I tend to use in Fire Emblem games. I really did have to detox a lot of ideas and mindsets, just like I had to do with limited resource management aspect because of Megaton and Dungeon Crawler games. I also had to unlearn habits like hoarding items and preserving MP when I should have been using them to their fullest potential to make my life easier and my gameplay smoother. And I blame Pokemon games for that, as they have spoiled me by giving one Master Ball a game and free Pokemon centers ever since my childhood. Another reason I prefer to move in one big group is to always stay within the range of my support unit, as I have stated that you cannot move after you use your magic. My advice is to destroy one enemy at a time by gaining number on them as fast as possible to reduce the enemy strength quickly. This achieves two main objectives for me. One is making the enemy retreat, and two is killing off their highest level monster. To give an example, there was this one battle where my weakest makeshift defense team got attacked by a strong enemy force, and I had to change my objective from winning the battle to taking down their highest level monster as much as I can with everything I had, and then retreating ASAP afterwards. In Brigandine, it is common that if you take down even one of the enemy characters in battle, the AI will often choose to retreat. But in cases where you are clearly under level and outnumbered, the AI will hunt you down until no one is left alive on the battlefield, like how it happened to me during this battle. So you have to think of retreating sometimes as a valid form of strategy and not a form of defeat. I also want to give advice to make a habit to check how many grids the enemy can move while keeping zone of control in mind. It might look like each battle can take a really long time to fight, moving one unit at a time and all. It is not, because battle on average lasts 4 to 5 turns and takes only around 30 minutes to finish, unlike that Margin Tennessee game I have played that takes like an hour on average to finish, and mind-breakingly boring and repetitive as hell. God, I hate that game so much. I was thinking about leaving out the monster explanation in fear of making a long video, but now that I think about it, they might just be the main reason I have found in the first place for a variety of strategy and tactical elements they bring to the game. So I'm going to elaborate on them right now. For the base units, we have ghouls, scorpions, jinn, hellhound, centaurs, marman, lizardman, hydra, mandrake, unicorn, pixie, wyvern, griffin, rocks, dragons, golems, angels, and demons. Ghouls are the cheapest monster to summon. They are by far the weakest and are easily replaceable. I only use them to pincer enemies, essentially throwing their life away in most cases. But if you are diligent enough to raise one for whatever reason, it can turn into a vampire lord in the end. This final stage is actually useful as it is equipped with HP absorbing attack, auto HP regen every turn, a range attack, and even a unique magic that lets you revive a dead unit. Scorpions are monsters with high defense but low HP. They come with a poison attack that has low proc chance, but I didn't find any use for them in my playthrough. Jinn are monsters that rely solely on special attacks that shoots color magic. The upside is you can move before firing, allowing for better positioning, which is non-existent for other monsters. The major downside though is that it costs MP, so you will only be able to fire 3 or 4 times per battle. Unlike other monsters that can fall back on normal attacks when MP runs out, Jinn cannot attack or counter attack, so I stopped using them entirely once I realized this halfway through the game. Hellhounds come with a passive called Hidden Away, which lets you move after a normal attack to reposition. I like these guys. They have a great mobility and can move in and out of my 4-row formation as needed. They can also breathe fire via a special attack, but using it prevents them from moving afterward. I remember using 2 of these dogs consistently throughout the game. Centaurs are monsters with range attacks and high mobility. Their attacks have high accuracy but deal low damage. I use them for chip damage or to secure less hit on enemy to grab EXP from a safe distance. In this game, because numbers are everything, as long as you keep chipping away at enemies' HP, even the strongest will fall eventually. So I also used 2 Centaurs consistently throughout the game. Marman, Lizardman, and Hydras are sea monsters with high mobility on water, but useless on land except Lizardman because they have 2 legs to walk on. I didn't find much use for Marman or Hydra, but I really like the Lizardman for its passive called Block, which has percentage chance to have incoming damage. The Hydra has high HP and insane damage output, but its poor land mobility made it hard for me to use it effectively, so it was a hard no for my playstyle. Mandrakes are weird monsters with high HP and low chance to inflict paralysis. This brings me to the status ailment system in Brigandine. They include poison, paralysis, stun, petrify, and charm. All can be cured by the magic called Magica. Poison deals damage every full turn. Paralysis immobilizes a unit for a few turns, and during this state, accuracy for every incoming attack becomes 100%. Stun immobilizes a unit until someone attacks it and boosts incoming attacks to 100%. A petrified monster gets defense boost, but it remains that way until cure, and this also boosts accuracy for incoming attacks by 100%. Charm turns an enemy monster into an uncontrollable ally. Monsters affected with paralysis, stun, petrify, and charm also have high chance of being abandoned by the enemy if they retreat. But with all that said, I didn't use Mandrake much compared to other monsters. Unicorns and pixies are the only support monsters, and I got a ton of use out of them. In fact, I would say they are mandatory for any team. Unicorns have Heat and Medica. The Heat spell has a range of 4 hexes, which is the main reason I always keep my units within a 4 hex radius. At level 10, it can evolve into Pegasus or a Nightmare. The Pegasus become airborne with better mobility. The Nightmare comes with debuff and a knockback attack that pushes enemy back 1 hex. This is great on your turn to avoid counter attacks, but on the enemy turn, because your Nightmare kept knocking the enemies back every single time, they can just keep rotating in and out until your Nightmare is dead. The debuff also have low success rate on average and might not even work on Krydas with high magic stat. I ended up evolving my unicorns into Pegasi every single time. PC came with defense and magic resistant buff. They also have a special ability that lets them deal green damage with their normal attacks by calling down lightning, albeit in a really rare occasion. When they are evolved into fairy, they can buff accuracy as well, just like Pegasus, which is always useful. It can also use green magic attacks and even cast React, a magic that lets the used Kryda act again. As OP as that sound, the MP cost is also heavy, so unicorns and pixie were must-have for me. Wyvern, Griffin, and Rogues are airborne monsters with high mobility. I use them mainly to swoop in and attack the enemy Kryda directly. Most attempts fail, but the survivors become permanent member on my team. The main difference is that Wyvern have no attributes, while Griffin has a white attribute. I ended up with 1 evolved Wyvern and 1 evolved Griffin by the time I reached the late game. Among these 3 buffs, I like Rogue a lot, as it has rare attribute and has low proc chance to petrify enemy. Its special attacks can inflict stun on both sides in AoE, and it evolves into Phoenix, which has HP regen and special AoE healing, which unfortunately also affects both sides as well. Dragons are a totally different story. These guys have high HP, high attack, and high defense, but somewhat low magic resistance, which is entirely negligible if you let your PC cast magic resist on Dragon. Moreover, they come with breath attack. Here's the key difference. Magic only hit enemies, while breath attack hit both sides in AoE. I chose Lance for my playthrough, and the game gave you a salamander named Dunamis, which is a final stage dragon evolution, and it is an airborne unit. Think of Dunamis as Jagan and Marcus equivalent from Fire Emblem series. Needless to say, I used the hell out of the salamander the entire way because it was just that strong. Dragons are fantastic all-rounders, and it's always reassuring to have them on your team on every single battle. Golems are monsters with high HP and defense, but has 0 magic resistance. They melt against magic, but are strong front liar otherwise. However, they move very slow and always got left behind by my faster team. I have 1 golem named Go, who somehow survived until the very end. That's all I remember, but hey, look how cute they are. Angels and demons are absolute beasts. They specialize in white and black magic respectively. Angels in particular are incredible because they can heal, attack, and shoot magic attack divine ray that deals reliable gold white damage around 200. In Brigandine, dealing 100 damage can be considered normal, so 200 is a really good number if you ask me. But to make use of their 2 health range, I had to put them on the front line and surround them with my tank units. But honestly, even without that, their moderate HP makes up for their risk in most cases. I use them in high numbers throughout the game, as angels and demons were my main damage dealers. And that's every monster I want to highlight in Brigandine. Here ends the gameplay explaining part of the video, so let's go back to cover what's left of the game until it ends. So I was supposed to take back what was once my kingdom from Zemeckis, but in the most anticlimactic way possible. While I was busy conquering other nations, my ally defeated the bad guy, so Zemeckis died off screen. After you have taken back your kingdom, you have to change to second disc and enter the second part of the game. Now I didn't know I was supposed to team up with my ally and let them do their own thing, but since I couldn't go wherever I wanted, I chose to attack my ally. And sure enough, after capturing their base, it turns out there's a consequence. Now I had to fight my own for my ally, and I had effectively become a bad guy just like Zemeckis once was. But hey, I got to fight more battles, so I'm not complaining. Eventually, after you unite every nation under your banner and recruit all the knights who are loyal to their original kings, you throw one big party to celebrate your achievement. But wait, remember the ending female knight who saved you at the very start of the game? She joins you halfway through the game, but leaves eventually on a quest to find the man who killed her lover. And after you conquer the entire continent, the game shows she finally finds the true mastermind behind everything. This villain brings out a man who had been following Zemeckis' order right from the start, who then turns out to be the knight's lover all along. They have a sad reunion one more time where they are forced to fight each other. But then it revealed that the man was under the mage control magic, and by the time he came back to sense, he chose to protect his lover from the mage attack and dies right there. The knight then comes running back to Lance, injured, and reveals the truth. She tells you that the mana we've been using to summon monsters was supposed to be reserved to see away a war-destroying monster called Ouroboros. But now so much mana has already been depleted during the war that the sea has been critically weakened, and Ouroboros is about to revive by the mage power. Now for this video, I chose to skip all the battles I had to fight in the middle because most battles just depend on your strategy and how you want to execute your plans. It feels strictly like a solo personal experience for me, and also because most of my strategy weren't any that special to boast about, as I was just sticking with my 4-row formation strategy every single battle. So with that, we still have 2 more fights before the game ends, which I think is worth talking about. This is actually an addition in Brigandine Grand Edition and wasn't present in the original, where the game ends when you defeat Zemeckis. I always tend to panic a bit whenever I reach the final portion of whatever game I play, as I tend to worry what would I do if I get soft locked myself or the need to grind more. But there was no longer any option to grind by this point, so I just made up my mind and just do what's left to do without worrying. And surely enough, what I witnessed during these 2 final fights was an absolute bloodbath, which made it clear that I came totally unprepared for the grand finale. First up is the mage. He has 2 underlings, always final stage monster. He even has my beloved salamander, but mine was obviously stronger because mine is named Dunamis and his is not. I thought about grinding by retreating and re-attacking, but these 2 fights have a time limit of 3 seasons each, and his underlings revive no matter how many times I kill them, with the exception with their monsters, as they stated, so it is already pointless to begin with. It also didn't help that the mage can use insanely strong media magic that deals massive black damage in huge radius. A few of my monsters fell to this magic attack, so I thought, screw it, and start throwing everything I had at him with the utmost priority. Turns out the mage had a barrier around him and I had to hit it a number of times before it finally broke. But after breaking that barrier, all I had to do is beat the shit out of him and off we go to the final fight with Ouroboros. When I first saw Ouroboros with 2 blasters on his side during the cutscene, I knew it was going to be bad news, for I had a feeling this thing would have insanely long range attack that shoots out beam that deals tons of damage, and I was correct. But what I didn't expect was that Ouroboros could summon its own minion, Leviathan and Doppelgangers. The Leviathans can shoot from long range but can counter-attack, which was fine. The Doppelgangers, however, were a huge problem. These guys can copy whatever unit they attack, and by the time I realized it, it was too late. Because their first victim was my Dunamis, and this was disastrous for me, as half of my unit fell to the fake Dunamis. Every turn, my units start dropping like flies, literally. So much so that only Lance and Dunamis remain in the end. Like how climatic they just looks and feel. I thought I was in a first Pokemon movie or something, with my Dunamis being copied. It's always great to share these kind of moments with people. But despite these overwhelming odds, I managed to let Dunamis, the MVP of my entire game, deliver the final blow to the boss and ended the game. Because this salamander right here deserves all the credit for carrying me the entire game from start to finish. After we defeat Ouroboros and save the world, we hold a party where everyone is having fun. I had this feeling of guilt for betraying my ally earlier, because I'm pretty sure there's an ending where they get invited to this party as well. Especially Kai's little sister, who seemed to have taken an interest in Lance since she invited him to a date after everything is over at the start of the game. Too bad they lost their kingdom to me, ironically, and are now wandering the world aimlessly. Even then, I still think Lance would have rejected her, because I'm pretty sure he had his sights set on the Savior Knight from the beginning, because he kept asking her to pretend to him, which I find really annoying. I mean, she had a lover, for goodness sake, but I guess he is dead now. Maybe she is considering Lance as an option. It seemed that way since she also returned to him at the very end during the party. A happy ending, I suppose, but I would have much preferred for Lance to just become a Devil King or something instead. But that's about everything I wanted to talk about and share regarding Brigandine in this video. Like I said, for me, this is primarily a gameplay first experience, with the character and story being a secondary concern at best, except the main story for Lance, of course. Think of this video as a little gameplay guide for this game. As for me, since the story was barely present to begin with, I had a weird time writing a script for this video, as I'm used to telling the game in chronological order by weaving in and out, taking turns talking about the story and the gameplay. Still, I hope I've given you some insight into what kind of game Brigandine is. As for me, it's a good game and I enjoy my time with it. I haven't really decided what to play next, and it will help me a bit if you guys could suggest any games you would like me to cover. If there is none, then I will just go through my PS1 game list again, so no pressure on the viewers by any means. But so far, looking at the list, it seems like many strategy/tactical turn-based games are left to be covered. So I just hope I can carry any knowledge I gain from playing Brigandine to the next. Expect more of these games in the future is what I would like to tell to the viewers. But that's it for Brigandine Grand Edition. I appreciate everyone giving their time to check out all my videos. Thank you so much for everyone who is still with me till the end. But as always, I'm Nine, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye bye.